Hello. Well, we're back from the Easter Passover break, and it is in full swing here. We all have the assignment of putting together our budget omnibus bills within the next few days so that we're prepared to hear these both in committee, in full finance, and then really beginning next Friday to move them to the floor. So you'll be seeing this session begin to wrap up pretty quickly. I've been most involved in putting both the E12 bill together as just a committee member, as well as the higher ed committee, obviously given I chair that. And so what I would tell you about the E12 committee is the governor came out with, a target in the high 600 millions of additional spending. The House had much less, and the Senate was at 300 some million. And the funny thing is, 300 million seems like a lot, but in order to put 1% on the formula, that costs $175 million. And so the districts are concerned that the Senate nor the House is going to come back with the kind of investment in E12 that will keep them from having to make cuts. So you might say, well, why would you have to make cuts if you put in even, $175 million? But you have to think about it like this. If you put a 1% increase, and 80% of the costs in districts are personnel, and if the districts settle with even, let's say, a 2% raise, and then you've got steps and lanes on top of that, the districts are really going to end up settling, in my opinion, probably more in the 4% combined range, and perhaps that's conservative, and so that really will leave districts cutting. And so what's the answer to that? I'm not sure. I think we don't have good answers, but we do appreciate and understand why they're concerned. So I will go back to and reiterate my concern around the governor's proposal to spend a great deal of money expanding to universal pre-K. I think when we're talking about not getting the kind of outcomes we're looking for in the traditional E12 arena, and we've just expanded to all-day K, and our districts are telling us they have to cut, that to then add an additional segment of the population and place that burden, that is not the right time. So I do appreciate and respect the governor's commitment to early learning, and I, in this morning's committee hearing, did tell the commissioner again how I wish they would reconsider and just support our targeted early learning scholarship. So for those of you who tune in every week, you're probably sick of that message, but sometimes you have to say things over and over and over to really make sure that you can move the dial on that. So thank you for listening to that. With regard to higher ed, we have a target of an increase of $205 million. The governor's increase was $288, and the House's target was around $54 million, I believe. So we are going to be really promoting, again, a balanced approach where we'll share that increase among the University of Minnesota, among MnSCU, we'll make some changes to the state grant to make sure it's available to as many students as possible. And then we are going to do some pilots. We are going to look at the workforce old name pipeline project, new name Earn While You Learn program, and support that effort, as well as Senator Stump has proposed that we pilot the idea of, if you're going to go to a technical school, that we would give you 2 years at no cost if you meet certain requirements. That would be income, qualifications, as well as you'd have to commit to getting a certain grade point average, or you would no longer qualify, and you'd have to commit to being mentored, and then the MnSCU system would have to provide that mentoring. So I'm excited to try those new approaches and to say that we have to think about delivering higher education in a new way to meet the workforce demands of the future. And then the last thing I just want to mention is a couple of bills that were heard this week that I proposed and wanted to make you aware of. One, last year, and we've talked about it a little bit this year too, we did the post-secondary study abroad bill, and we did that in response to constituents in our community who have lost their children through really tragic accidents as they were studying abroad. Well, Cheryl Hill, who started Clear Cause Foundation, well, we did that bill for the post-secondary institutions. She actually lost her son Tyler, and she and her husband Alan, in a people-to-people program that happened while he was in high school. So introduced a bill just this week that would also require the school districts and companies who provide study abroad experiences for high school students to report in a similar way. And so Cheryl Hill came and shared her story, and it was a tough hearing to be at and to listen to, but I think the members were deeply moved and really supported the bill. And then the final bill I'll speak about is a bill that was entitled Girls in Action. I came across a very esteemed professor, Dr. Verna Price. She developed a program aiming to increase the outcomes for girls of color. And so she has been working on this for over 5 years. She has trained over 3,000 girls, and in her cohort that she has trained, her graduation rate is 100%. When she takes on these girls, they graduate from high school. And she had many other statistics that showed impressive outcomes. And so when I heard about this program, I said, Dr. Price, we should prove that we should replicate this. We should take it to scale. And so the way I approach that is I said, let's take it down first. Let's take one high school. Let's give you all the girls of color in that high school, and then look at your results. And if in fact the results are what you say they are, then we can really bring it to scale. And so the bill requested $250,000 to implement that pilot. The committee was open to that. We'll see if I can prevail and see if we can support that effort. Anyways, thank you for listening to this very long welcome back to the Capitol, and I'll fill you in as we go on. And do take this week's survey. I need to hear what you think. So thanks very much.